Today is February 5th, 2025. My name is Bobby Goodman, and I am interviewing Scott Robbins about his days at the Columbian Club. Scott, welcome.
Thanks, Bobby.
So, Scott, I just want to start off with just when were you a member of the Columbian Club?
Basically, my dad joined the year I was born, so that's 54, and probably I would say our membership lasted about 1974. About 20 years.
Very nice. What did the membership look like back then? And obviously, you said you were the son of a member, but had you become a member? Obviously.
Right. So I never really became a member. It was just 74 was about midway through my college. I guess maybe longer. I guess 78. So through college. And so Dad became a member in 54. He had started playing some golf with one of his good friends he joined with, Dr. Max Goodfried. They had played at Tennyson a lot, and so they decided they wanted to join a club, so they joined Columbian Club.
Do you know back then about how many members there may have been?
I think there's maybe 200, 250 at that time.
And the age kind of group of that membership, what did it kind of look like as you recall? And not only just when you joined, but through those 20-something years that you were there.
So I think when we joined, my first recollections it was a lot of young families. There were some older ones. So I think the range of the kids at the club were probably 3 or 4 years old up to high school age. So it seemed like, to me, it always seemed there was a lot of families. I don't really remember very many members that did not have family at the golf club.
Got it. So your dad joined. Do you know why he ended up joining? What was the reasoning behind joining the club?
Well, like I said, he had started playing a lot of golf. He was a doctor, had one day off a week, basically. He was looking for some place he could play. According to him, he was looking for some place he could play on a regular basis and not have to fight for tee times, not have to, being able to be flexible, because single practice physician, even on his day off, he might be called off the golf course. So he was kind of looking for that type of condition.
Let's see. So do you recall whether he felt or even you felt any reason, any form of anti-Semitism that may have made him feel comfortable in joining the Columbian Club? Or as you were a member, did you ever encounter any anti-Semitism as a family member of a member?
Yes. I think that was a really big part of him joining the club. Because he was over in East Dallas. He was in Hillside Village. So he easily could have joined Lakewood. He could have joined Dallas Country Club. Something was closer for him around his office, but those weren't available to him. And I think Columbian Club got built just from that standpoint that the Jews starting to play golf did not have a place to play golf. It started as a dinner club. It started as a place for Jews to gather, but then as they started all wanting to play golf, there was no place they could really go play. Dallas Country Club didn't allow Jews. Northwood didn't allow Jews. Lakewood was very limited on what they let in. There was quotas, there was exclusions, there was a lot of stuff that was like that. So I think that had played a huge part. Now, the question is, did I face anti-Semitism at parts? As I grew up playing and got into high school playing, I had friends at Hillcrest High School where I played at. There were members at Dallas Country Club. We couldn't go play Dallas Country Club. I couldn't even go visit. I couldn't even step on the property. It's changed now. I don't know if there's any Jews that are members there now, but I know we could at least play. I played there a few years ago. Some friends. Actually, it was myself and 2 other Jewish friends playing with the member. And we got about the 13th hole. We surrounded him and said, "Okay, we're kind of concerned." And he goes, "What?" He goes, "You got 3 Jews out here. You're going to get kicked out of the club."
Oh my!
But it was teasing. But at least you go out and play now.
And so you were born and kind of raised, it sounds like, out at the club.
Absolutely.
So you're, you know, you weren't the member, but you were on, so you weren't on committees, but kind of the importance of the club to you, Scott. What did the Clumbing Club, what was the importance of it to you yourself?
Oh, it's my lifeline. It is, it's where I fell in love with playing golf. I was always a small kid. I mean, there's a comment that's always in the back of my head, and as I grew up and became older and getting out of high school and college and going to different Jewish weddings, bar mitzvahs, those types of things, members would come up and go, we always knew where Scott was, because if you're, the driving range originally was built, the golf course only was 9 holes. And the driving range was kind of right at the bottom of the hill of where the swimming pool was. So a lot of comments was, we knew when Scott was hitting golf balls, because all we saw was a bucket of balls and a golf bag going, because that's how small it was. So it was, for me, golf was a sport I could play. I wasn't never big enough to go play football with all the guys. I wasn't big enough to play basketball with all the guys. So this was a sport that I could play, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I was switching schools, had to go to some summer school when I was 10. At that point, at 10 years old, we could play on the golf course by ourselves. And as I look back at this, I'm saying I probably hurt my dad's feelings, but it was the day I turned 10, and it happened to coincide with my dad's day off. And so it was all planned for us to go out and play golf. Well, it was the day I turned 10. I remember him picking me up at summer school, and I made the comment to him and says, I'm going to play golf by myself today because I can do it. And that was a great place. The great thing about Clumbing Club is small membership, being able to be dropped off at the club. And I've told my dad this before he passed, but one of the great things was he finally built an office that was 5 minutes from the house. He made the trip 30 minutes out to drop me off at the club during the summer every day. And then either my mom or my sisters or he'd come out and play, and we'd go home after that. So I spent a lot of time out there.
So you mentioned your mom and your sisters and your dad, obviously. So the Clumbing Club's relationship to not just you, which sounded like it was a lot of golf, but what about to the rest of your family? How did that club, how did it relate to the rest of your family? Did they use it?
It was.
And how did they use it?
So it was used. Mom learned to play golf. She started right-handed and then figured out she better play her left-handed. So she actually played left-handed and putted right-handed. And then as my sisters got older, and they would use the pool a lot. We actually, some of my fondest memories, and I tell my sisters this all the time, some of my fondest memories was when I was growing up before I turned 10, was we would go out as a family and play golf. My sisters were actually pretty athletic and played pretty well, and it just didn't strike them as it struck me. But as they got older, and Dad might drop me off, Mom would bring them out later, and they'd be at the pool all day. So they used the pool all day, the snack bar. As they got older, got to be friends with all the lifeguards, and it was fun. And then there was always Thursday night bingo. It was always Thursday night bingo, and Harold Osborne, our manager, always calling bingo and everybody having fun with it. But great buffets. I mean, yeah, we use it all the time. Back then it was known as the greatest food in Dallas.
So other than your immediate family, did you have other family that were members or friends, family friends, your own personal friends, members of the club? How did that develop?
No immediate family, because my dad's family was all out in California, and my mom's family was in Dallas, but they were busy running their dry good business. But friends, yeah, lifelong friends. I mean, it was people we knew at the synagogue, but we were we didn't do stuff around the synagogue. Everything was done around Columbian Club. Bunch of golf, right? Bunch of golf, swimming. A lot of guys, as I got older, we play golf. A lot of guys would go play poker. I might go swim. I might go practice. Might go play some more. But these are all now lifelong friends, and still play golf with a lot of them. And it's it shaped my life. I mean, I took a bunch of, Dad, we had an assistant golf pro come in when I was 11, 12 years old. And the club couldn't afford to pay him, so actually he worked at the golf shop during the day, and before automatic sprinklers, he was the one that actually set all the sprinklers at night. And they actually built a small little house that was at the corner of the third hole, which is a dogleg right par 5. And his young family was there. Well, Dad, being a doctor, traded out all the care for himself, his wife, and his family for my golf lessons. That's when I really became good. And this guy's name was Roland Radosky. A lot of people still remember Roland from the club. And that was, you asked the question, how did the club influence me? It literally is my lifeline, because that's all I do. I teach golf, and that is my career.
These friends that you made, lifelong friends, they, and you said you had some that were from the synagogue, made a lot of friends just being out there. Did some of those friendships initiate at the Columbian Club?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so bunch of initiated out of at the country club. I mean, it's 3 of us were in each other's weddings.
Wow. You mentioned some of the activities that you did, obviously golf. What were some of the other activities that you loved or you think about when you think of the Columbian Club?
Swam a lot. Tennis. Had 2 different rooms. One was ping pong room, one was a pool room. Oh my God, we wore those out. So I mean, it was really hot. We'd go play golf in the morning. What are we going to do? All right. We as kids, with no one else around, the kids it seemed like the kids ran the place during the day. And we'd have pool tournaments, we'd have ping pong tournaments. And then we'd go swim. Then we may go play another 9 holes. It was a blast.
So what were some of tell me a couple of your most favorite memories from the Columbian Club.
Wow. I gotta say, some of my favorite memories are, like when I said we get out and play golf by myself. I'd get out and play, and it's funny because I'd go and some of the ladies would be playing. I'm 10, 11 years old. They go, Scott, why don't you just play with us? And I'd start playing. I'm playing pretty good. And they go, okay, Scott, why don't you go on, and we'll just see you when we get done. It's type of deal. So that was always fun. Great memory that's where I started learning how to play golf tournaments, and we had a young man that was there that was a great player, played at Highland Park, played at University of Texas. His name was Andy Stone. Andy was a great player, and it's kind of all his kids looked up and said, God, we can't play like Andy, right? But, the first year I won the junior club championship, I was 15, so that was a great memory. It was a short-lived victory celebration because I happened to win it on the Sunday that my sister got married. So that Sunday was interesting. It was the Sunday brunch for my sister's wedding. I went and played the golf tournament. I got picked up. I got to get my trophy, and Dad said, we got to get home, shower, and get in your tux.
That's awesome. So you said you won the junior championship?
Correct.
Did you win any other championships out there, Scott?
Actually, I did. I did win the club championship one year.
What year was that? Do you remember?
That's a great question. I think it was 71 or 72.
How old were you?
It was either 16 or 17.
16 or 17? Wow. So,
and that was hard to do because there was a guy named Fred Avalon that was out there. And I was one of the fortunate few on the club championship trophy whose name was not Fred Avalon. He only won it right-handed, and then he decided he was bored, and he won it left-handed.
Wow. So let me ask you this, Scott. Why do you think the Columbian Club closed? What are your thoughts on that?
So I'm going to come at this a little bit different, probably than most any other interviewer is going to come, because of my time in the golf business. I think there was a lack of long-term planning. I think that a lot of my friends that were juniors were able to become members because they're parents of a legacy. It always told me that it just got too expensive to play. The dues kept on going up because there was a lack of long-term planning to make sure the funding was there to keep the dues reasonable, but to do whatever improvements needed to be done to any part of the club, whether it's the golf course, whether it was the clubhouse, whether there was any upgrades they wanted to do. So there was, the due structure gotten really big. There was assessments became annually, whereas I remember the first assessment that my dad talked about was when they added the second 9 holes. But, so I think that was part of it. Another part of it was some of the older time members as well decided they wanted to have the club be the way it was and did not want anybody else joining. And the lifeblood of any country club, any golf club, is new members. And that, the lack of that is, I think, what eventually closed the club.
So why do you think there were a lack of new members?
Well, I think the process of how members came in changed dramatically. I remember that the main entrance to get into the locker rooms, you always walked by a bulletin board. And the bulletin board was always posted with prospective members. And it was a picture of usually the man that was joining, something about his profession. There was also a picture of his family and the ages of the family and stuff. And that was always posted. So it was a vetting process to get in. Not only was it just, it was only just open to Jews, but you also had to be vetted to get in. I mean, there were some people that I know that were not let in for certain reasons, but I think it started lacking that. It became less and less of that, and I think at the same time is when society started changing, where a Jew could go become a member of a Lakewood, a Jew could go become a member of a DAC. It also, I think, when Brookhaven and the parent company of Club Corp of America started buying a lot of clubs in Dallas and making those available to anybody. So I think a lot of that changed and was a pressure that, again, with lack of foresight, whether it's from a club manager or it's from a foresight from the committees and membership committees, there was just, to me, there was a lot of mistakes that became the downfall.
So do you think the Columbian Club could be successful if it were to come back today? If hypothetically there was a Columbian Club of today, could it be successful, do you think?
I do think it could be. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I think that it could be in the form of a Preston Trail, of a Bent Tree type of the private-owned member clubs, because those clubs are communities, right? Preston Trail is an example. It's a community of men. But I still think that the Columbian Club could be that way, because, again, it could be exactly what it was intended to be. It's a community of Jews. Safe place, a community of Jews, your best friends, sharing, whatever a community is, it's shared values, it's shared experiences. That's what it was back then. It could easily be successful again.
So what do you think about the new Columbian Club that has recently opened?
I think it's an absolute fabulous idea. I haven't had a chance to get down there and have lunch. As a matter of fact, we talked about my experience at the Columbian Club. After my mentor in the game, Roland, left, took his first professional job, a young man came in named Chris Kohler. Well, Chris actually lives down there, and Chris and I have reconnected and become friends again over the last few years. And that's one of the things he and I have talked about, is that we need to go have lunch, and we're going to go to the Columbian Club. We haven't gotten there yet, so we'll get there. I love the idea, though.
Yeah, very cool. It's kind of a, talked a lot about golf and how the Columbian Club was a major influence to you. Would you just share with us again, that you may have mentioned it earlier, but I don't want it to pass by. What's your profession today?
I'm a PGA golf professional. I've been a PGA golf professional for over 35 years.
That's awesome. Obviously, the Columbian Club had a lot to do with where you are today. Scott, anything that I may have not brought up or that you'd like to add to this interview?
Yeah. I mean, the Columbian Club was an absolute space. As I look back on it, and I look at the adults that were there, it was a great collaboration and gathering of the Jewish movers and shakers and great business people in Dallas. Bankers, Larry Budner. Right? Groceries, Jack Goodman. Right? Fashion, Lester Milnick. Designer of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders uniforms. Just insurance, moguls, all the people. Hey, food supply, Mickey Rubin. I mean, it's just, they've changed the course, they've changed it to Merido. I actually think Mickey's tree is still there, which used to be behind the old 11th green. So, I mean, just movers and shakers and their kids, and getting to know the kids, getting these lifelong friendships, and it's just, it was an unbelievable place. And the food was, it was great. We talked about Thursday night bingos, right? It was funny because you talk about anti-Semitism, but some of my Christian friends would even ask me, like in high school, it's like, can we get a invitation to the annual seafood dinner? I mean, it was piles of shrimp. Everybody got, I can't remember, I think it was like, depending on the harvest, you either got one large lobster, or you had two little lobsters that you got to crack and open, and it was talking how to crack. And I mean, in the food, I mean, my sister learned how to make the chocolate cake that was so great. I mean, it was like family celebrations. She would make that for the family celebrations, bring everybody's memories back. So, yeah, it was magical. It was a magical place. I mean, it's the friendships that were made. Shoot, just a few weeks ago, one of the members we were playing golf, used to play golf with all the time. He's now a member of the Nelson Club, which used to be TPC Las Colinas. Invited a bunch of us out to play golf. They'd always played together at Columbian. I mean, this is 55, 60 years later. Thank God we can all still play, because we still have a great time. We don't hit anywhere, but we still have a great time playing.
Well, that's awesome. Scott Robbins, thank you for your insight on your days at the Columbian Club. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for a trip down memory lane.
There you go.